Hey guys, Dr. Seth here at Great Works Chiropractic. We're having our Kids Month, so I thought I'd shoot a couple of videos to help you guys with maybe some ideas about some things to do with developmental health, because kids are growing and developing, and there are many milestones along the way where things can go, are supposed to go a certain way, and they might go another way, and it can have long-term effects. One thing that parents often ask us about here is digestion. Is it my kids spitting up all the time? The babies are fussing all the time after they eat, or breastfeed, or have or otherwise they're feeding, oh, what's the one? Shoot. Constipation. There we go. There we go. I'm human, right? So we're one take wonders around here. So I apologize. So constipation, and of course that opens up a whole can of worms. I suppose that's an appropriate analogy, isn't it? It could be there could be less than once a day. A baby should really be pooping at least once a day. A child should really be pooping at least once a day. It shouldn't hurt to poop. When you change a baby's diaper, if they're on milk, it really shouldn't be foul or green. It should be kind of light yellow, brown, mustardy, and not really smell too bad at all. Unless you're really squeamish, and then like, I'm sorry, right? If that's going on for you. We can also get right around the baby's bum. If there's a red ring, we call that allergy butt, right? So there are either having painful pooping, or foul or otherwise dysfunctional pooping, or pain, or a red ring around the anus that suggests some irritation. All these things can be issues, right? So we could have problems above, we could have problems below. The gut is a really big issue. So what can be going on, right? Some key things that can be going on. Number one, this is a really big, a really big topic now. More and more people are starting to catch on to it, as we see in the proliferation of gluten-free goods at the store, specialty, gluten-free, dairy-free bakeries, and that type of thing. Are food sensitivities. If there's irritation in the gut from a food that's just not reacting well with your particular baby or child, that can wreak havoc, with reflux and that sort of thing, or down below. And I know there are medications for these things, and some people are fine with that. Some people want that, and that's an option. Acid blockers, with upper issues oftentimes are prescribed, or laxatives if babies are having a hard time down below. But this video is maybe more for people who who are seeking other options than those things, just because that's one way that you may want to raise your child, right? So if that's your goal, right, then seeking out a potential food sensitivity is one thing that you may want to look at. And the reason why gluten-free and dairy-free is a large growing consciousness right now is because they're some of the most common food sensitivities that you run into. So trying elimination, and even if you're a breastfeeding mom, if you eat a food your baby is sensitive to, your baby can still have a reaction. If you're not fully processing that food, then it can actually make it into your blood, into the milk, and still affect baby. It's a real bummer, but it's part of what the modern life has done to our digestive system. It's created a lot of dysfunction. So some initial things to try are elimination of gluten. Be careful with that. It hides in a lot of things. And elimination of dairy. A lot of people say, well, what about eggs? Eggs are not dairy. That's okay. Eggs are fairly not an uncommon sensitivity, but gluten and dairy are a good place to start. If you on down the line, there are some other things you might want to look at. Look at online for most common foods. Oftentimes, you work down through that that list, and you don't have to get testing specifically or anything like that. Something else that that may be going on is autonomic nervous system dysfunction. If the baby's constantly spitting up, or not pooping for days on end, that type of thing. It's the vagus nerve that produces the peristalsis that moves things in the right way. The vagus nerve also helps to combat inflammation. So whether we're having painful pooping, inflammation, crummy tummy, that sort of thing, or constipation, some autonomic nervous system, development, may be falling behind a little bit. Some things that support autonomic nervous system function are face-to-face time, snuggles, hugging, holding, singing, all those types of I'm here with you, hello baby, that type of interaction, and skin to skin contact. So sure, it's good to hug a baby when you're wearing a sweater and they're wearing their jumper or what have you. But if you're just hanging out, you just got out of bed and you're still in your boxers if you're a dad, or or whatever you're wearing or not wearing if you're a mom or what have you, skin on skin with baby, just them in a diaper or naked if they just peed or pooped. That is going to give them much more stimulation to that vagus nerve than clothed will. So you can get a little added bonus with that. Another issue, I had to check my notes. I told myself I wasn't going to do that. Can be gut flora. If you've ever had to give, your baby antibiotics, thank goodness they're there. It's, I suspect that one of my kids is here because of antibiotics and a run with pneumonia. So that was very humbling. But that leaves, absolute scorched earth in its wake. So there's a price. And so if there's been a brush with antibiotics, if through busyness as a modern family or whatever other issues, your family has leaned toward a lot of packaged foods, convenience foods, as opposed to, whole foods that you would get on the perimeter of the grocery store. All these things can contribute to, inflammation in the gut. So, let me go with that. And a dysfunction in the gut flora, right? Gut flora, by what I mean by that, are the little bugs that live in your gut. They're the good guys, right? There are ones that protect you from bad guys, so they're the big muscly kind of bodyguard ones, and you have a bunch of them that also kind of convert some of the foods you eat into the things that you need. So some of your not exactly vitamins, but these are sort of other substances that these guys produce. They're things that you need that you can't be fully healthy without. So it's just a whole complement. There are actually 10 times as many bacteria that live in you and on you as there are your own cells. So it's a really, really big thing, right? So what do we do if we're having issues with the gut flora? Probiotics are certainly a good thing, but also prebiotics. So we're going to get back to that. What does prebiotic mean? It basically means anything around the perimeter of the grocery store, whole foods, things that require a little bit of breaking down, as opposed to already having been broke down for you by machines. Those are some really important things to do, and also outdoor time. As long as you don't have dog poop all over your yard, some of us love dogs, and boy, it's hard to keep up with those things, or other hazardous situations. Again, you'll see in my other videos, I'll encourage, baby on the ground, not just a clean, sanitized floor, but, on the grass outside. There might be a little dirt, and, again, as long as, you don't know that, there's not dog poops laying all around, or some other contamination, that's healthy. There are studies, out of the UK that show that exposure to soil bacteria produces a healthier baby, less risk of asthma, and a whole bunch of other things. I'm going to cycle back to the autonomic nervous system. We talked about that, right? Yes, to do, face-to-face time, all that type of stuff. So I gave you some kind of key things that can be going on if baby's spitting up, having colic, or having problems with constipation or painful pooping, or baby child, or even teenager, even though they might not tell you. It might be too late by then. Sometimes they shut themselves in their room and won't talk to you anymore. So those are some strategies you can do. I hope this helps. And obviously, talking about these things because these are things we work with here in our office. We're trained to do this. We're very good at helping to solve these problems. If you don't live anywhere near South Berwick, Maine, of course, there are many wonderful, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, and pediatric chiropractors and chiropractic neurologists out there who would all be fantastic resources. So if you try these things, or if you're kind of up to your eyeballs and you don't know what to do, go see somebody. They can help. You don't just necessarily need a prescription. There are a whole bunch of other options if you want that. Okay, guys, I hope this helps. Over and out.